Hello viewers, farmers and agricultural enthusiasts. Welcome to this in another series of Carbon Chemicals Live. We are in this studio brought to you by Commercial Concepts. This afternoon session is being brought to you by yours truly, Dayne Parker and Jonnoy Johnson. Jonnoy, we're in a new setup, a new space. The conversation this afternoon is going to be about worms or caterpillar, a very timely conversation.
Yeah, I'd say based on even recent videos, this is a fitting topic based on the times that we're going through. And as Parker said, there's a new student, new environment, changing the vibes, right? So we want viewers to basically listening and be encouraged to contact us, send in any questions, anything you have based on the situation we have right now.
And indeed, of course, you can reach out to us on our WhatsApp line, and that's 876-401-4766, or you can drop us a line on our different social media platforms, be it Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and of course, we are very much willing, ready, and able to provide you with all the relevant details about your agronomic needs. So, you would have heard it. We're talking about caterpillars or worms or lepidopterans.
Yeah,
now, the idea here and now is to break down for you what these are, how do you go about treating them, Jonnoy, and at the same time, just to give a summary of what this entails. So we talk about worms in Jamaica as, of course, the larval stage, the immature stage of insects belonging to certain orders.
Yes.
Explain that for me, please.
All right, so as Parker mentioned, generally in Jamaica, we say everything is worms, or once it's crawling, soft-bodied, we just say worms, right? But these species are actually broken down into different categories. So you have Lepidoptera, right, which are adults who generally appear as a beetle, while the younger stage will appear as a grub. So for those farmers who know about sweet potato and always see those worms in the soil, that's the larval stage of the beetle.
Okay, understand. So, of course, farmers, bear in mind that we had a previous session. So, of course, once you've logged on, subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can, of course, go back to that previous session for further details in terms of, all of what Jonnoy just mentioned. But more specifically, once you have these larvae, these insect pests in your field, then, of course, you need a robust control measure strategy that needs, of course, to be implemented in such a way that to give you an immediate suppression or control. Because, Jonnoy, you will note carefully that if you don't, then you're talking about a loss in, of course, the expenditure, your income, whatever you've put in. So how does a farmer go about, looking at this in a nutshell, and how do you go about strategizing it in a manner?
All right, so as you mentioned, prevention and suppression.
Yes.
I would prefer prevention still.
Key, because once the population gets out, then farmers, you're on the back foot. You're going to have to be looking at, marketable yields is what you're in agriculture for.
Definitely. And so one of the first steps you want to take is to try to disrupt the different stages, right? The different stages of the pest. So first we have to basically understand those different stages before we disrupt them. And by doing that, sometimes we are implementing either chemical means, manual control, biological control. So those are some of the tactics we'll take to prevent or manage, right? Or sometimes you hear we say control.
Yes, and so what we're going to be doing, farmers, is to expound. We want to break it down into bite-sized pieces. So I hope you have your pen and your paper and you're ready. And of course, we're standing by in the chat, so if you have a question on how to go about doing this, we have technical persons on standby in studios here, willing and ready to take those calls. So remember, drop us a WhatsApp, drop a message in the chat. Of course, you can feel free to reach out to us. And I must say, before we go any further in terms of the strategies, big up and shout out to those persons who passed through the booth at the Egg Agricultural Show. We welcome, we appreciate your passing through. It was fun. I wasn't there, but I heard it was something that I really missed. And of course, next year, pass me in the Jonnoy, because I have to make sure that we turn out.
Yes, and the photos, I'm jealous.
Yes, indeed. So the tactics we're going to be talking about, as we mentioned earlier, speaks to the life cycle, the biology. Understanding the behavior, farmers, gives you that fundamental know-how. How do you step into that field? How do you bring down the population levels as you go through. So firstly, we want to be in a position to be able to scout that field, Jonnoy, to go through. What are some of the patterns? Help the farmers to understand these.
All right. Generally, you have various patterns you can use. For example, we have on the left a person's using the W format or the M format to scout the Irish potato field, right? So that farmer might say, all right, I'm doing a next application, or I'm going to do an application. So let me scout that Irish potato field. Or in cases, you can do a circular pattern, right? Where the circle expounding from the center outwards. Because as a lot of time we refer to, you scouting the edge may not give you the best results or show the true pest pressure. Right?
And that's, of course, because that's the entry point for most pests, most diseases. So not that we're going to ignore that outer edges.
Outer bands.
We're informed by what is present, but at the same time, farmers and viewers, we want to see what's happening further into that field. Continue, Jonnoy.
Yeah. So basically that doing those different patterns will give you some amount of coverage or idea of the pest population that is there. And I don't want us to go too far from even what we mentioned about the different stages, because in the previous slide we basically got an idea of or saw what the different stages will include, because we're talking about the adult stage, Parker.
Yes, indeed.
Understanding what are the adults, how they look, then we move on to the egg stage, or we call that now ovicidal stage.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of times you see those names on the product, ovicidal control.
Exactly. We need to understand what that specifically means in terms of when you do the application, which stage of the life cycle, as you're seeing to the left of the screen here, is going to be under control. So what Jonnoy is actually alluding to farmers is that while it's in the pupa stage, there's not much work to be done here in terms of control. The danger lies when what? The adults are present and they are actively laying.
All right.
And then once those eggs are present, then what it means now is that your population is going to explode. I'll give you a scenario here. When we were in New Forest, Manchester, and looking at beet armyworm and doing the survey, one egg sac has a maximum of 150 eggs. So just imagine you having 150 larvae coming out, ready to march through that field and to consume those plant surfaces. Then, of course, that's when we're in trouble here, farmers. So again, it drives down to the very fact: know the field, scout the field.
And good point in the park. That's the area that I was going to touch on. You're saying 150
eggs in that one egg sac.
In one egg sac.
Yes.
And we're talking about a half-acre scallion field.
There you go.
So you can just imagine how much potential pests that's going to affect the farmer, right?
So in scouting now, what the farmer would need to identify, obviously, in this MWR circular pattern or in other patterns like your X or your Z, what am I seeing in terms of the numbers of egg sacs? That now gives you the kind of information as to what sort of chemistries or methods to move into and to approach this field.
You know, let me raise a quick point, Parker. Let me raise a scenario. If you were going into a new area,
yes,
you're going to travel to a new area, right? And you didn't have much information about the area, what would you do?
Obviously, I would go online, I would search the area, I would want to identify, of course, what type of clothing, what do I need to take?
That is it. So I'm trying to let viewers understand that you are going to do an application. Why are you going to do the application? What are you going to control, right? So that's the importance of the scouting, you know.
Yes.
What to apply, right? Going into the crop.
And not just the what, Jonnoy. I want to introduce to you here and now, farmers, the how to. Because guess what? In doing the application here and now, one needs to be mindful: am I getting to the target areas? Am I reaching the pest? And am I using the right type of nozzles, or rather the right type of equipment, so as to get into those hard to reach areas? And I want to introduce something else. Am I using the type of adjuvant that's going to give me that surface coverage, that penetration, and of course getting into those hard-to-reach areas, as I mentioned earlier.
Very, very crucial information, because we have seen it many times where persons using the wrong equipment to spray cabbage.
There you go.
And so then the pest just...
Can't use a misblow.
Well...
So, I want to bring back something here, understanding what we say, which is biology. Where are these larvae feeding? Where are they hanging out? That, again, too, informs you of the how to and the what to. What am I going to be using? What strategy am I implementing here and now? Take, for example, a cabbage loop. Yeah. Where are those eggs, Jonnoy? Tell the farmers, where are those eggs? Where are they hanging out?
Most of the times under the leaves. And then I'll say probably all the times under the foliage of the plant, right? So those broad cabbage leaf, if you just look from above, you won't see them.
That's
right?
it.
But if you take the time out to turn that foliage and look under that leaf, you'll see them having a jolly time under the leaf, right? Yeah, feeding away.
So your cauliflower, your kale, your broccolis, those your pests are going to be found on the underside of the leaf. And so it now brings into a now sharp focus of the how to and the mechanism of what needs to be done in terms of identifying, selecting the right type of chemistries, as well as looking at the method that you're going to be using to control the various stages. We want to interrupt the life cycle of the pest, breaking it down so again the farmer can have some revenue at the end of the day. In this picture here, Jonnoy, what are we seeing here and now?
All right, so basically this is showing effective control based on how the indicarb works, and this is an indoxacarb active ingredient product, right? Look at that. Look at the picture. What we're seeing is that you're seeing that new lush and foliage growth coming out of the cabbage, despite those earlier damages from the outer leaves, from the worm on the outer leaves.
Yes.
You understand that? So that shows that you're getting the control from the product. So killing the larval stages so that you can continue to have a healthy crop. But as a picture like this, once you control that larval stage, then you want to target the potential adults. So you then look for the adults.
So what must a farmer do here and now? Because yes, you've controlled the larvae. So what's the aim here and now where the adults are concerned? How do you reduce that population size? How do you prevent egg laying from continuing?
All right, my tactic would be to draw on a product that is effective in controlling that adult stage. We get used to this killing thing. Yeah, but controlling adult stage, because you want to minimize the population to a level that is not causing economic damage, right? So want to just minimize that adult population, so minimize the egg laying and the larval stage.
So you see what's happening here, no farmers. This is when you come through with, of course, what we call a cocktail mixture. So indica with something else, won't say just yet, and target, of course, those pests that are inside your cabbage plot. You mentioned something earlier, your density, your population density, those large leaves. When you have cabbage planted and they are clustered, then what it simply means, Jonnoy, is that the moths can go under those leaves and remain protected. While you are doing the application, guess what? Shoot and miss.
Shoot and miss.
You're spraying and you're missing the targets. You're not getting the adults. You're not controlling the larvae because of the population of the crop itself. And at the same time, you run the risk, even if you notice, there are weeds present. And so field sanitation, things like those play a sharp and a critical role in doing what you're doing. When farmers are closer to harvest, guess what? Them like the money part and them forget about the agronomic part.
Leading
and
up to
mercy, the insect pest explodes. And then what?
Well, basically damage to the harvest, and whatever marketable yield you get, it's very low.
There you go.
Right?
So again, we want to reduce these things, and that's why we have these conversations, of course, here on No Farmers. If you have not joined the conversation, Georgia is standing by, the team is standing by to respond to your text messages. Drop us a line. Give us some feedback. Are we learning so far? Tell me some of the things that you've learned, and of course, continue. Now, on screen, Jonnoy. Wow.
Yeah, this. I know many viewers or farmers might have experienced some farmer damage from this.
Yes, indeed.
If you have grown tomato
Yes.
And then
A lot of
now
fruit worm.
when you're close to harvest, you basically discarding about 50% of the harvest. Why? Fruit worms
Yes. And early detection,
is crucial.
early survey, walking through that field, observing
Yeah.
keenly, because these larvae are coming out just when your fruits are
Ready to mature.
closer to maturity, or when the blossoms are just, so the eggs are laid when the blossoms are fully open and fertilized. And as the fruit grows, the worm grows with the fruit.
Grows with it.
And there you have a problem right here and now. Again, the common carnier worm.
Whoa, I can tell you, in the St. Catherine belt and I know the Clarendon belt,
Yes, indeed.
we have major issues with it.
Always.
Right? Be it corn or be it fall armyworm, right? Sweet corn and field corn production
Yes.
gets a hit by these pests. So following the strategies that we are mentioning here will help you to minimize potential economic loss. And you know sweet corn, Parker.
Yes,
we're
indeed.
talking about generally a one cob, or if you get two cobs.
Yes.
So if you lose that cob, you basically lose that.
Yeah, but remember, not with bright gene, not with bright
No,
gene.
no.
We don't get one cup with bright gene. So
No, we have
you just
several cups.
mention that. To be careful to mention that, sir. Now, when we are doing a sweet corn, the farmer is no longer targeting the central area of the plant. You're moving to the cobs at that time. The tassels and the hairs are where the larvae enter through and start feeding at the tips. So what you want to be doing when you're putting out your tassels, expect them to move through. Expect the moths to be laying eggs at that time. Once you've gone the route of the hairs coming out and pollination begins, expect the larvae to come down from the tassels onto the corn hair and then start working its way through. So where do you target, Jonnoy? Where are we spraying? Are we spraying the entire corn, or are we targeting? Are we being targeted?
No, we're doing a target approach to the ears, right? And a simple rule of thumb I tell persons, when you're scouting, check the ears, and when you see the hair color turn from a white look to a brown look,
that's right.
It's an indicator that something is damaging that hair, right?
That's right.
And that is needed for that full pollination. So those anthers fall down and pollinate those ears, right? So if you see those damaged, be on the lookout for worm affecting it. All right. So
Of course, again, to farmers, we need to bear in mind that, the crop itself needs to be treated in such a way that you are being targeted and you are being specific. So again, going back to the front now, from the beginning, once you've been doing your regular checks, that informs you of what chemistries or what strategies or methods we need to be implementing. You're checking the plant, the underside of the leaves, you're looking at the cobs, you're looking at the hairs to see if you have any damage. Remember, we're talking about economic losses now, farmers. And so these are things that should be common practice throughout the farm. This is not a worm per se, Jonnoy, but this is a field with papaya. What is happening here?
Hey, tell the persons who generally grow in the hillside or grow Irish potato can tell you about the grubs.
Yes.
Makakuku.
Yes,
sorry,
indeed.
sorry,
Yes.
sorry. I believe you call it pronounce that. Yeah, man. So what these grubs do is to damage that root zone, right?
Yes.
So they feed on that root zone, and eventually, if you lose your rooting system, what happens back?
Then your production is gone.
The production gone, the plant tilted over. So, and don't think it's just papaya. They affect a range of crops. So from a cabbage, a tomato, a sweet pepper, they are very devastating. And this is a young, as I said before, this is the larval stage.
Yes, yes.
Of the beet, right?
Yes,
so
indeed.
once the beet prepare it and start to lay it, and the grubs hatch, then
Yes.
it can be a major problem.
Now you're
So
talking about, again, farmers, economic losses here.
Look at
You're
that.
talking about trees toppling over. If it's Irish potato, Jonnoy, there's no root. You're talking about the tuber, so there's no marketable yield if the population is high. So we'll bear these things in mind, farmers, as we continue the discussion. Of course, here at Carbon Chemicals, we bring you solutions for your growing needs. And so, again,
This is fresh.
beet armyworm, fresh on the lips, fresh on the eyes, fresh on the mind of everybody. You'd have seen different posts of the farmers there in Hearties, it is, in St. Thomas, under the pressures of beet armyworm. But bear in mind, proper scouting. Once the conditions become favorable, that means daytime length increases, more sunlight. One. Once the daytime temperature increases, that's another factor. Two, you're going to find that these populations are going to explode. Remember, I said it earlier, the beet armyworm lays from 50 to 150 eggs per sack. The moth can fly around and deposit within a week up to 10 egg sacs. So one adult moving through a field is over 1,000 potential lepidopterans or worms coming into your field. And so what does this mean for a farmer, Jonnoy?
Well, this is me. If depends on the crop. So if you're talking about your scallion and your onion crop, if those larvae make their way inside the crop, the worms are basically, the larvae is basically going to eat in a way
Yes.
that epidermal layer, right? So eventually you'll have discoloration of leaf,
Yes.
reduced movements and nutrients. Those leaves going to be toppled over,
That's right.
and as the name suggests, they're moving in an army.
Yeah, they're
force,
moving
right?
through the
So
field.
they're going to clean sweep the field. So
Yes,
they're here to work. Understand? So if you do not scout early enough, you might be in trouble, right? So we don't want the cases where is when the worms are spotted inside the leaf.
That's when we begin to move.
Begin to move. No.
No.
Early scouting will detect this, right? And for cases like onion and scallion that I often mention, you sometimes have to clean that top or cut that top to really get penetration of the larvae.
And so here and now, farmers, again, the conversation must be that we are scouting, we are being informed, we understand what is happening in the field, we know the life cycles, we know that once the temperatures start to begin to get warmer, day length increases, bear that in mind. Not just that, where you have established monocultures, one crop in one area
Back to back.
being grown back to back or seasonally, here's what happens, farmers. The population will increase. Implement your biological measures, put in your pheromone traps, put in your sticky traps, monitor the adult population and see what is happening on your farm. Because once the threshold is breached or passed, it means that you're on the preventative, you're curative, you're on the defense. So be on the lookout and be so informed. Here we have the diamondback moth, as we mentioned earlier, your roundworms in your cabbage and watermelons.
Parker, this is even a recent case, This is basically in St. Catherine.
Yes.
So female farmer basically growing 2 acres of cabbage, right? Doing her weekly application.
Yes.
But here is the case. As you said before, the right chemistries
That's right.
are not being used also. And as we're going to touch on later, and the use of adjuvant, right? Adjuvant to target the seed. So what I observed was that they're doing their applications, but still see larvae present underneath the foliage, as you see in the cabbage field. And you mentioned sanitation.
Yeah.
And
simply
that was
because
one
you're
of the
not being targeted.
Yeah.
You're not being targeted. This fields basics. We haven't gone to the farm stores yet, Jonnoy. Field sanitation. Population density. We haven't made a purchase as yet. And with these measures, again, too, what you now have is better control. The farmer can move strategic, mapping the field, doing the targeted application.
To control.
You know one of the strangest thing I've found? In being in the New Forest era when they had the major outbreak, farmers soap water kill these things, As basic as that. Is to get to the point where you are knocking them down effectively.
Yeah.
That's where the conversation lies.
Yeah.
Again, in your budworm, in your cassava, is a major issue and can become an issue. But again, too, we monitor and we do our applications accordingly, or do what needs to be done necessarily.
All right. So what we want to do is take it into basically the range of solutions or chemical
indeed.
solutions.
Yes.
So we're talking about the monitoring, we're talking about basically field sanitation.
Yes.
So what we want to provide is some of the chemistries that we have to give you an understanding, because you're the first line of defense. So
That's
having
right.
the requisite knowledge can help you with proper control of these pests.
Yes,
So
and so with the knowledge comes the selection.
comes the selection.
And with the
That is
selection
it.
comes the appropriate application method or methodology
Yeah.
in getting to the hard to reach areas where the pests are residing, and then you go into the field. So farmers, we are saying to you, move in a systematic manner. We start out with a mimic, an insect growth regulator. Just for a brief moment, Jonnoy, break down how this insect growth regulator actually works, and then to explain to the farmers why start here rather than go to an indoxacarb or a Cartrax.
All right. So this is a product that I like, right? Because generally based on how this is formulated,
Yes.
it is difficult for that larva to develop resistance based on the formulation. So
Wonderful.
this insect growth regulator is basically telling the worm that, all right, you're entering molting stage now, stop feed. And we're talking about molting stage, we're going in the cocoon state for your viewers who might not understand, right? So it's telling you to stop feed. So after getting in contact with the active ingredient, the larva will eventually stop feed, and then what if you don't have enough
So way before it begins to feed, you are telling it to stop feed.
stop feed.
So use mimic, tell it to stop feed.
Yeah, man. So it doesn't reach that mature larval stage.
So if it doesn't get to that point, it means then that the damage that we're seeing, removing, skeletonizing the leaves, wounding the plant in such a manner, is ceased with upon application.
Definitely. And how to use this product, because it's an insect growth regulator, it will be specific to the larval stage, right?
Good.
So if you're seeing early signs of damage, or you're doing your early scouting
That's right.
and spotting those instars, you can start applying your mimic.
So way before it gets out of control, or they move into the stalks of the scallion, or they start to hide, you apply your mimic early stage. So you're controlling the larvae. If there's no larvae, there's no feeding. If there's no feeding, then guess what? There is no damage to the crop, and your money in field is pretty much safe and secured.
Yeah.
Now we move to Indicarb and Cartrax. Again, two farmers, we can mix and match and we can cocktail. We're going to point those out to you in a moment so you understand exactly how to do what to do. So indoxacarb, pretty much ingestion must take place first. Again, it's going to be targeting the egg and the larva stage. Jonnoy, you remember we said earlier, go back to the life cycle,
Yeah.
understand the life cycle itself, and thereby doing so, what happens next?
So
You interrupt the growth and development, and there's no continued feeding.
So you're telling me that the indicar will target both the eggs and the larval stage?
That is right.
All right.
And
makes
so
sense.
let's say now you are out of first and second instar. You're seeing the feeding, it seems to be heavy.
Yeah.
When you check your plant leaf, it's over 20% in terms of damage. Then what you now do is to move to an indoxacarb. And here and now, what you'll end up with is the control of one, the eggs themselves that are present, and the larvae. And again, too, what we've done, interrupted the life cycle, breaking that threshold, so you're not getting the damage in terms of the crop being, any economic, what we call injury losses taking place.
Makes sense.
Indeed. And
Makes
so,
sense.
again, we pride ourselves at Carbon Chemicals in bringing the solutions to you. Jonnoy,
And-
when you talk about a Cartrax and your point.
All right, this is one of the insecticides I like, very effective in giving that complete knockdown. So we're talking from the adults
Yes.
straight through the egg to larval stage.
Wow,
right?
wonderful.
Giving a complete knockdown. And being a contact product, basically, if the residue of the product is on the leaf,
Yes.
and either the adult, the larvae, or the eggs come in contact with that product,
Yes.
you're going to get control.
Then you see now, it then brings to the argument here and now that combining then and mixing and matching also gives you a wider range of coverage. So for example, in my early stage of crop, I could go mimic plus Caratrax and get effective control. I could go Caratrax and Indicarb and still get effective control.
Definitely.
So here and now, in doing this, I am controlling all the stages of the life cycle. So if I am getting first, second, or third instar, my mimic takes care of that. But not just that. If Caratrax is added to the mixture, I am also getting the knockdown from the adults. I'm also getting knockdown from the larval stages, and I'm getting control of your eggs. So there you have it, farmers. Simply put, in terms of a direct strategy to go to field and do what needs to be done.
Definitely. And this will take us now to the importance of what I call you must have in your spray. Especially if you're talking about a cabbage or a broccoli or your leafy vegetables, right?
Yes.
So adjuvants are what we basically see as products that enable, right, the application. So either makes it more efficient or you get better use out of that product application.
Wonderful.
So some of the breakdown are some of the features active adjuvant will give.
So you're talking about improving the water quality itself. I normally say, I said this the last time, I don't know if you'll agree with me, the water get wetter, Jonnoy.
Yeah man, you're wetting water.
So you're getting water, you're wetting up the water.
Wetting water.
So when you apply this product, the retention, the wetting ability of the water with your chemistry on the surface of the leaf, so you get better coverage, you get better penetration, and you also get better surface retention. So you're breaking the water ability not just to wet the surface. Because here's what I've seen in the past, and farmers, you can attest to this. Crops like your cabbage, if there's no penetrant or adjuvant in it, the water coalesces or it forms a clump and then rolls off that leaf. Right? When you add your adjuvant to it, then what you'll see is wetting or coverage almost instant. And we're going to show you some examples because we've done the field work. This is not just a conversation. We've been doing the work all the time. We're not just in some field. We're doing the work, executing the task.
Definitely. And what I always tell persons, as you mentioned, water running off, try not to bathe that plant.
That's right.
What I always allude to is spraying a product on a glass. What you have happening? Quick runoff, right?
Exactly.
But if you miss that product on the glass, you're having that adhesion onto that surface, right? So that's the aim that we're going for, right? Creating small droplets that will come together and give that effect that we're looking for. And those are some of the features of the adjuvants.
Yeah, and so once the product goes on, you're getting better bonding to the surface of the leaf. So if and when the pest comes, pests find the pesticide. And so what happens immediately? You get control. He's exposed and of course suppressed. So rather than going into feeding, him biting a leaf, or him come in contact with the product, and that's it. Game over. So your bee dam worm, your different lepidopterans, we have the secret sauce right here. Include your adjuvant in your tank mix. So here are the categories. We talk about exit, new film P, breakthrough, and spreader sticker. Again, I think I've said it one too many times.
Yeah, man.
Carbon chemicals, we just bring the solutions.
Bring solutions. So options that farmers can use real time.
That's right.
So all right, so let me touch now on your exit. We're talking about a natural oil adjuvant, right?
Yes.
And this is a product that Parky, when I'm applying or spraying cabbage or cauliflower, it's a product that I don't leave out.
That's right.
Right? Because if you move on to this slide, you're seeing that effective wetting.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
You're getting that spreading. You notice that you don't only see the heart of the cabbage wet, No, you're getting all of it is wet, giving that nice penetration. So you're getting that sticking effect, that spreading effect, and that penetration
And that
effect.
is a key point too, especially in cabbage.
Especially.
Why? Because the pest is living on the underside of the leaf. And so if you go through and you're not using a solid cone, and by the way, ensure you're using a Jacto sprayer, because guess what? We have the cone that you can adjust so you can get the chemistry right through. It comes with a sorrel plate, so it goes under and around and through. So you're good to go if you're using a Jacto spray pan.
More effective control.
There you go. And so again, another solution. We talk about products like your New P. Again too, this is going to be protecting the chemistry from UV breakdown. So once the sunlight comes out and is there, it's protecting the chemistry on the surface of the leaf.
So wait, Parker. So that's the reason for the name New Film P. So you're
That's
creating
right.
a film
You're getting
over
a
the
film
product.
over the product.
Oh my gosh.
So you're
That is
covering the surface, but you're putting down the chemistry first and then protecting it. So you create a layer of film over the product. And what is the benefit of that, farmers? You drop it in the chat yet? Put that benefit right in the chat and tell me what is the benefit for using New Film P in your tank mix. That's one of the giveaway questions this afternoon. Identify one benefit that of using New Film P in your tank mix. I think I just said the answer. If I repeat it, then I might give it away. But when you put down that chemistry, you're protecting it. And so sunlight comes out, but not just sun. If rain fall, that product is being protected. It's rain fast, it's being protected. So you're not going to get that erosion of that chemistry, that indicarb, that mimic that you've just put on, or that character after you just put on the surface.
And that is very important, especially in a tropical country.
That's right.
Yeah, that
you're getting UV light, you're getting sunlight. This, again, too, is another product. Jonnoy, break this down for our viewers.
So this is one of the popular adjuvants on the market, right? I know most persons would know breakthrough. So, all right, draw back to that demonstration. Parker says it's a lovely demonstration. Where this farmer may not have been using an adjuvant and getting some damage from lepidopters, right?
That's right.
And after seeing this wetting or the application of breakthrough, is getting that surface cover, so it's breaking that surface tension, getting that wetting and that penetration into the crop. So any pest that is in the lower leaf formation, right, they're getting that control.
That's right. It begs repeating. Once you're using our spring waxy leaf crops like your cabbage and your cauliflower and your broccoli, when the water by itself hits that leaf, it's going to run off. You're not going to get bonding or contact. You're not going to get wetting of the surface.
So you waste the spray.
And so you waste the spray. You waste the money. You go to the farm, so you throw it away. Don't do that, farmers. Add some breakthrough to the mixture. Add your New Film P, add your exit, and you're going to hear about another one shortly. But once you've done this, what Mr. Anderson would have recognized and realized, and is now the flagship breakthrough enthusiast, is that you're getting better coverage with your chemistry. And what this means, savings, because you're no longer spraying too much, because you're doing it effective. That's the major difference.
And I'm seeing this farmer probably saving a third of what he usually uses.
There you go. Yeah. By the way, this demonstration was done with water, just a showcase, so no pesticide was used at that point in time.
Okay.
So hence the farmer can go close to the crop itself. Just a pointer here.
Safety concerns.
Indeed, yes, indeed. We have to make again too. So we talk about the different products. We talk about the different chemistries. Again, we talk about the application rates, because this is important. I want to emphasize, if you've gone to any of our training, you may have gotten one of our measuring cylinders. I do hope you are using that effectively and correctly. It's an excellent product because you just simply pour and record your volume. Yeah.
But wait, Parker, they measuring guide and guide, you know.
That's right. What is that you have in your hand right there?
Wait.
What is that you have right there?
If you haven't got one of these, you need your 2023 calendar, right? The Farming Today calendar.
That's right.
Parker, this is this as person call it.
I've heard people call it the Bible, you know.
No, you have to be careful.
I've heard farmers say, I read this thing before I go to bed.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm wondering if this is something. What I've heard one farmer said, this is the farming magazine. Take off calendar off the label.
Farming magazine.
It's a farming magazine. So it then says what's inside of it is content, carefully thought out, carefully put together, carefully packaged, read, and this is testimonials upon testimonials. These are the different chemistries we carry, and again to the back of it.
All right. If you look to the
safety. Yeah.
If you look to the back, you're having information on pesticide application, rate application, target pests, and if you look inside, even safety.
Yes, man. Big on that.
So various information and even pHs that the chemical or active ingredient works best. So there's a range of information. So if you haven't got one, ensure you have one.
Yeah, make sure you go to your nearest farm store. Of course, reach out to us on our Instagram, Facebook, wherever you are in the world. you need to have one of these farming today calendars. Again, if you don't have it, I don't know what you're looking into. I tell you, this is it. So we talk about carrot tracks being utilized at 1/2 to 1 teaspoon per gallon of water. Again, remember, we can use it throughout all the different crop stages. In the carb, just the same. 5 to 10 mils. This is 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon of water, and this can be used throughout all the stages. Jonnoy, I want you to expound on the word PHI for me in a moment. For your mimic, your insect growth regulator, 1/2 to 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon of water. And again, now, the benefit of using the chemistry, as we are going to point out and show you in a moment, as Jonnoy brings to the expounding for me, your PHI, help the farmers to understand why is this important and what are the benefits of doing this.
All right, this is one of the most important things, second to the active ingredient, right?
Yes.
Because this is telling you the pre-harvest interval. So it's stating that the time from which you have last sprayed until when you can harvest. So for example, if you were to apply carrot tracks onto your cabbage, you're looking at a harvest period of 2 to 3 days.
That's right.
And I want farmers to calculate the day fully, you know. Say if you sprayed today, Friday, at about 5 o'clock, right?
It's tomorrow 5 o'clock is 1 day.
All right.
And
so
then Sunday, 5 o'clock is 2 days.
Yeah.
And so Monday morning, Tuesday morning, we can cut.
Yeah, about that.
Oh, there you go. So listen, one of the things I've said to farmers is we don't want to be poison the consumer.
No, not
and with all of these health issues coming up, let's be safe in all doing. All right, so we have some field demonstrations we want to point out to you and show you. Of course, examples of what we would have done in field. And again, it's strategy, population reduction.
That is it.
Reduce the numbers of adults, reduce the numbers of egg laying activity, reduce the larvae, and reduce your economic losses. So mimic was used early stages. Note the major difference between the farmer application and what we are doing at Carbon Chemical. This is mimic the larvicidal, controlling those early stage lepidopterans. So there's no feeding, there's no continued consumption of the leaves, thereby giving you a clean crop from the start.
I know what, Parker? I think a lot of persons might think that the older larval stage is the more serious one.
No, it isn't.
In terms of feeding.
No, it isn't.
It is basically at its last stage. So the younger stage which the mimic is going to target is the most aggressive stage because they want to swell up to reach a big stage.
That's right.
So when you want to go big school, you basically
eat more.
Yeah, man, you eat more and right.
Next thing you know, so, you're in trouble here and now. And so again, no. This another example with where tomato is concerned. 2 applications of Indicarb at 10 mils or 2 teaspoons per gallon of water. This is what Dale would have seen. We talk about the tomato worm, the fruit worm being present in the crop. This is economic losses, farmers. You're losing money because guess what? This fruit is not saleable at all.
Straight to the pigs.
And so you're going to feed some animals with that or into your compost pile.
Yeah.
So with that application, 2 to 3 weeks later, we are seeing that the reduction of damaged fruits. Of course, we're talking about the reduction in the farmers, having to worry about, I'm not going to be making any money from this crop. And again, to saleable fruits.
And the point to make, Parker, those damaged fruits aren't going to basically recover,
No, that's
right?
it.
So those they have to clean off the plant. But we're talking about giving protection to those upcoming fruits, right?
Indeed.
So don't think it's going to clean those damaged fruit.
So we have another example here again, Jonnoy, with Brachytrelawney.
All right.
Carrot tracks being used. The target here again too are your
Wait, Parky. Go back to the next slide. Go back to the previous slide. Carrot tracks plus exit. You seen that? All right.
So what's in it? The insecticide and your adjuvant.
Because this is a waxy leaf crop, so we're talking about onions. So generally leaves are waxy, and it's a plant that has an upright leaf. So we're talking about basically an easier runoff.
Easier runoff.
So it's not compared to a cabbage that has broad fruit.
Easier runoff.
Upright leaf, so easier runoff. So we need the adjuvant right there.
And again too, if you're using the Jacto sprayer, turn that blue tip nozzle down to a fine mist, and you'll get the coverage that you so require. So again, the agronomist would have identified, recognized what's present in it, and did the application. Again, once you would have done that application with your pesticide, again, you're getting that coverage I think Georgia wants to bring a question here in. There's a viewer online who wants to ask a question of us, Jonnoy. So,
all right.
Excellent. Let me hear what the viewer has to say at this point in time. Go ahead, Georgia.
So from YouTube,
Yes.
Stevie wants to know, in terms of the corn earworm, which of the three would be most effective in controlling corn earworms at the stage of cob production?
All right. So again, his name is Steven. Oh, Stevie. Hi, Stevie. How you doing? Thanks
Regular
for joining. Welcome, man.
Yeah, man, regular listener.
Yes, Stevie is one of our regular viewers or listeners to the program. So Stevie, you have the option of your rotation between your mimic and your indicarb. Either of the two. Again, early stages, mimic is excellent. It's wonderful. It can be utilized. Depending on where you are on the farm, so you're shopping, I'm not sure in terms of availability, hence I'm mentioning two. So depending on your location, Stevie, you also have the option of utilizing your indoxacarb, your indicarb to use in your corn earworm. Remember too, you're targeting the tip of the cobs to get that control effective and early.
And you mentioned a good point, Parker, rotation.
Yes,
so,
indeed.
Stevie, we're not only focusing on just using one product to solve the problem. You
That's
want
right.
to do a rotation because you don't want that pest to build resistance and then we'll have
Perfectly.
future issues, right? So,
Well said,
good
Jonnoy.
rotation.
Indeed. And so, cabbage.
Lovely. So this is the application in Bagul, right?
Yes, but this
Cabbage
is right
here.
from the start. We're not playing games here. No. This is right from the start. The farmer understands that, listen, I'm going
Price
to
is up.
have these issues coming through, so I need to do these things from the very start. And so you start out with your new P and your indicarb. Note, insecticide plus your adjuvant. Good?
That is
And
good.
then you go to mimic and Caratrax, and you also add your new P. Again, too, protecting the chemistry, putting it down. There are instances where you can go even 2 weeks without doing a second application in between those weeks, simply because you have been able to get the chemistry onto the surface and protecting the chemistry. So should you have the problem, and again, he started out from the very onset. I see Georgia again with another question here, Jonnoy. I like the feedback, I like the vibe. So go ahead, Georgia, with that question
New student,
first.
new vibes.
So Dennis on YouTube, what adjuvant would you recommend as the best option for my insecticides and fungicides?
So your
Well,
best. All right. So depending on one of two things, Jonnoy. I guess you talk if it's a contact or a systemic.
Definitely. So
you categorize them.
yeah, so if you're using your systemic insecticides and fungicides, you're looking to use more like your exit or your breakthrough that will
Okay.
give you that penetration effect. So it's giving that spreading, that wetting, and that penetration. So that's pulling the product into the plant.
So what about those contact ones? What's the strategy?
All
What
right,
does he
so
do?
for your contact, either insecticide, fungicide, or herbicide, you're looking to use now your new P,
Yes.
right? Or your spreader sticker.
Okay, wonderful.
So with using your new P, especially for your contact product, and that's why it's specifically designed, So that contact product should be out on the outer side of the leaf, right? So with the new P giving that UV protection,
Yes.
you won't have degradation of that product.
Excellent,
Right?
excellent
Yeah.
point here to make. And so again, to being in the field, getting into the field, finding out what's happening here. This farmer in particular had some worms. This is in Geisel. This is in St. Catherine. Jonnoy, we find the cabbage loop or lepidopterans in this field. The biggest question might be, how come the cabbage loop are eating the Irish potato? But I suspect, and I know for a fact that cabbage was here first. And so farmer, bear in mind now, in your rotation of your field, it's very critical. So depending on the previous crop, you could very well be building an arsenal to come and eat down the second
next crop.
So when you throw up the field, so to speak, be mindful of that. Because what you've just done is to allow the pests to continue to feed and grow in numbers. And so they found the cabbage looper here. Mimic was introduced. Tell us what is happening in this particular
All right.
set of images here.
These are photos that basically make my day. So this is showing how effectively or how Mimic is at work, right? So what we said, Parker, Mimic is supposed to basically trigger molting.
Yes.
So after about 4 to 5 days after the farmer had applied or after we had treated the plot, what we observed was that a lepidoptera larvae in the molting stage. You know,
Yes, yes,
or
yes.
going to molting. So you stop feed, so you have degradation or breakdown of the body. And
So
this
they
is what the
have it right
photo is
here.
showing clearly. And other larvae were present on the plant, on the foliage, right? Just showing that effective control. So we know that this farmer will get about like a 2 to 3 weeks control based on effective use of the product.
And again, too, based on the fact that the application was done, you see the effectiveness of what is happening here.
Lovely.
This is callaloo.
at
Again,
that.
too, the classic case of having a diamondback moth spreading throughout, causing havoc. This is a processor having to grow callaloo. And so being introduced, these are some of the signs. We're seeing the adults, we're seeing the larvae, we're seeing eggs. And so what we did,
Seeing the damage.
cut back some of the more damaged branches or stalks, and then we come through with a caprid definite.
Oh.
What this pretty much did was to give us a pretty good roundup of the entire population.
So
One
wipe out.
application.
So basically, you're zeroing the different
Zero down.
stages.
Zero down.
Quick knockdown.
So
Alright.
once you go that route at the regular rates, 5 mils per gallon for your caprid, 10 mils per gallon for your definite, and you're getting that population control with your one pass throughout that field.
Clean
Again, too, you can add your breakthrough, your spreader sticker, your new FIMP to these mixtures. And again, I mentioned it to you earlier. There was a field that we did mimic in.
Oh, this is
Bead
lovely.
armyworm is present. This is Skellion. This is New Forest, Manchester. And guess what?
And this was from what? The start of the crop
Yeah.
onwards, right?
Yes.
All right. You see how it puts.
Introduced, we went in, scouted it, saw what was happening.
Yeah.
Here's the regret. We were only given these areas to try our chemistries on. So these areas in box, this is grass and bush over here, so growing. So let's not be. So I was told, no, you can't just discuss. This is new product when I show. I said, listen, man, allow me to do the application, man. So if you notice, my tags are on field.
Yeah,
my
man.
markers
Well
are very
marked
much
out.
present. To the regret of the farmer, only the areas that were covered with mimic was saved.
All right.
Talking about an acre and a half, a Skellion, wipe out.
So you follow the approach. Scout,
That's right.
design a plan.
Saw that
and
we had
implemented a plan.
the egg sacs. They were coming out in their first, second instar, and that's when the application was done. Right on spot.
That's
In that tank mix, we added new FIMP, new FIMP and mimic. And that is it. Nothing else.
lovely control.
One cleanup. And so that's how you do what you do here at
That
Carbon
is what I
Chemicals.
like.
We target, we know, we've been doing this field work all the way from back then. I'm not sure if we have any other additional questions at this time. Of course, we welcome the feedback and the conversations from our viewers, our listenership. We just want to, of course, encourage you to grab a copy of our calendars. Be mindful of the fact that our website is up and running. It's www.carbchemjam.com. And again, to all the information, the sessions, the training, the products are online. You can, of course, review them on our Facebook, Instagram, and on our YouTube channel. Hey, like, comment, and subscribe, no man.
That's
You're
it,
watching so long, you know, do something yet.
I know
How
what-
many persons have you shared this program with or this channel with? I'm asking you to do so this afternoon. It
know what,
means a
Parky?
lot to us.
To give back to the viewers, so we have 2 additional questions.
Okay, go ahead.
We have 2 additional questions. All right. So here what? I want any viewer to name 2 insecticides that can be used to control Lepidopterans. So if you were listening to the presentation, you know what I'm talking about.
That one,
right?
that one is so easy.
So
man.
easy. Let me tell you,
Wow,
let me drop
that
it
one
out
is a
simple.
simple one.
And then now the second one.
Where are the persons? I want a drum roll, man. Give me a drum roll, now, man. What's going on? I tell you, man.
All right. So here's the third
That
one.
is a simple
Parker.
one. What's the simple one? What's the other one?
All right. The third one is that name 3 developmental stages of Lepidoptera.
Wow.
Just name 3 developmental
Any 3?
stages. Yeah.
So there are 4 stages.
4
so name
stages.
any 3.
Any 3.
And again, Georgia is standing by to tell us who the winners are. I know Stevie typing already.
Yeah,
I
man,
see
Stevie
fingers
active.
moving fast.
Stevie active.
The other viewers are in the chat just the same. I wonder whose answer is going to come through on a different platform. So even if you answer one question on Facebook, Instagram, or on our YouTube channel, that's how we're going to be selecting the winners. So we're going to be giving away prizes to the viewership on all the different platforms this afternoon. So even if you're WhatsApp, 876-401-4766. Georgia has an answer already.
So Stevie said eggs, larvae, and adult.
Eggs, larvae, and the
Adult.
adult.
Oh
Wonderful,
my God,
Stevie.
Stevie.
I told you Stevie was typing already. So big up to Stevie, our first winner for this afternoon. And Stevie's on which of the platform? Is it YouTube? Okay, YouTube. Okay,
So I'm
wonderful.
going to invite Stevie one of the
Yeah,
days
we're
in the studio.
gonna have Stevie
YouTube.
as one of our
Yeah,
we
man.
call it now, our loyal fan base,
Yeah, man.
and we're gonna invite it. Yes, George has another response again.
So Stevie answered the other question.
Sure, Stevie.
So Stevie is 2 for 2 or
Car-
2 for 3. Go ahead. let me hear it.
Caratrax and mimic.
What? Say again, please.
Caratrax and mimic.
Oh.
Caratrax and Mimic. Stevie, you are on a roll. You're blazing this afternoon. So what happened to the other folks? I'm sure you've been listening and hearing, man. If you had gone to the website, same time when we say it, www.caribchem.com, Caribchem Jam, then what would have happened is that you would have seen some of these products. And remember, we're streaming live, guys. So even after the session, feel free to type it in the chat. And again, we can, of course, provide you with the details. Share your contact details with us, Stevie, and other participants, so we can, of course, send out your gifts. Thank you very much for
Thank you
joining
again.
us this afternoon. It was indeed a pleasure to share with you some knowledge, some tidbits on how to control your lepidopterans, your worms in the various crops. Again, to this product, this session will be saved, so feel free to watch and rewatch and save. And of course, join us next time as we say thank you. Jonnoy.
Yeah. Well, viewers, thanks again. You can share any viewpoint, any upgrade that we need to do, any topics that you want to hear. Right? We're here. We're going to change it up, make it different, make it spicy, give you what you want. And thanks
Indeed.
again.
And so, once again, we thank you for joining us this afternoon. Walk good, be safe, and have the wonderful rest of the weekend.
Take care.